Brock Lesnar is lying motionless in the center of the ring after CM Punk returned to Raw and delivered the most devastating attack in WWE history, and if you're not absolutely stunned by the sight of the Beast Incarnate being carried out on a stretcher while Punk stands over him like a conquering warrior, you clearly don't understand the magnitude of this career-defining moment. What we witnessed wasn't just a surprise return, it was the systematic destruction of WWE's most unstoppable force by a man who spent years planning the perfect revenge, the image of CM Punk, the man who left WWE on bitter terms, who spent nearly a decade away from the company, who swore he would never return, standing in the middle of Raw after absolutely demolishing Brock Lesnar will be replayed for generations as one of the most shocking moments in professional wrestling history. This wasn't just unexpected, it was reality-altering for the entire WWE landscape. The best in the world is back, and the beast is broken. Those words from the commentary team weren't just calling the action, they were announcing a new era where CM Punk has returned not as a nostalgic attraction but as a destructive force that just proved he can hang with and destroy the most dangerous man in WWE history. You want to talk about returns that fundamentally reshape everything? CM Punk didn't just make a surprise appearance, he paralyzed Brock Lesnar with an attack so brutal, so calculated, and so devastating that medical personnel are genuinely concerned about whether the Beast will ever be the same again. The fear on Paul Heyman's face tells you everything you need to know about how serious this is. The setup for this shocking return was absolutely perfect in its execution. Brock had just finished destroying another opponent, standing tall in the ring as the Beast Incarnate, when suddenly the arena went completely dark and an unmistakable sound filled the venue static, followed by the opening notes of Cult of Personality that made every single person in that building lose their minds. But here's what makes this return absolutely different from every other wrestling comeback. Punk didn't come back for nostalgia, for one more run, or to pass the torch. He came back specifically to destroy Brock Lesnar, and the methodical nature of his attack proved he had been planning this moment for years. The most shocking aspect of Punk's assault was how he targeted Brock's neck and spine with surgical precision. Every strike, every move, every brutal impact was specifically designed to damage the areas that would render even the Beast helpless. This wasn't wrestling, this was a calculated assassination attempt. Here's a question that's going to reveal just how unprecedented this moment truly was. Did you notice how CM Punk seemed to know exactly where Brock's old injuries and weak points were, suggesting he had been studying the Beast for years while planning this return? The actual attack sequence was so vicious that even hardened wrestling fans were genuinely uncomfortable watching it unfold. Punk hit Brock with a steel chair wrapped around his neck and then delivered a devastating piledriver onto the steel steps that made everyone in the arena gasp in horror. But the most devastating move came when Punk locked in a modified version of the Anaconda Vice that specifically targeted Brock's neck and spine. The way he wrenched back on the hold with all his strength while Brock desperately tried to escape showed a level of hatred and desire to inflict permanent damage that went beyond competitive intensity. The referee was screaming at Punk to release the hold, but he refused until security literally pulled him off. The look of pure rage and satisfaction on Punk's face as he watched Brock lying motionless on the canvas revealed that this attack was personal in ways we don't fully understand yet. Quick question for the medical experts: based on the specific moves Punk is targeting the neck and spine, what kind of injuries could Brock realistically be facing, and could this attack actually end his career? The most infuriating aspect for Brock's supporters is that he never had a chance to defend himself. Punk's attack was so sudden, so violent, and so perfectly executed that the Beast, who has dominated everyone from John Cena to The Undertaker, was reduced to a helpless victim within minutes. The investigation into how CM Punk orchestrated this return reveals months of planning and negotiation with WWE management. This wasn't a spontaneous decision. Punk had been working behind the scenes to time his return for maximum impact and to ensure he got exactly what he wanted from the company. But perhaps the most shocking revelation is that Punk's entire return was built around one specific demand: he wanted Brock Lesnar as his first opponent, and he wanted complete creative control over how their feud would unfold. WWE apparently agreed to all his demands because they knew this return would generate unprecedented buzz. The negotiation process shows just how much leverage Punk had in these discussions. WWE needed him more than he needed them, and he used that power to structure his comeback in the most destructive and impactful way possible by immediately taking out their biggest star. Here's another question for the business analysts: do you think WWE made the right decision giving CM Punk complete creative control, or did they give away too much power that could backfire if Punk decides to go off script again? The most disturbing aspect of this attack is what Punk said while he was destroying Brock. Witnesses report hearing him whisper threats and personal insults that suggest this isn't just about wrestling competition. There's genuine animosity between these two men that goes beyond what cameras have captured. The testimonies from ringside personnel paint a picture of Punk being almost possessed during the attack. His eyes were completely wild, and he was saying things to Brock that were way more personal than any scripted promo, one witness revealed. This felt real in a way that made everyone uncomfortable. But the most shocking moment came after the attack when Punk grabbed a microphone and addressed the WWE Universe directly. "You all wondered where I've been? I've been training, preparing, and planning for this exact moment. Brock Lesnar represents everything wrong with WWE part-time champions, corporate protection, and unearned dominance. I came back to destroy that system, and what you just saw is only the beginning. The promo revealed that Punk views himself not just as a returning star but as a revolutionary who came back to fundamentally change WWE's power structure. His attack on Brock wasn't random, it was symbolic destruction of the part-time, corporate-protected model that Punk has always despised. The medical update on Brock's condition is absolutely terrifying. Initial reports suggest severe neck trauma, potential spinal compression, and the dreaded possibility of nerve damage that could affect his ability to ever compete at the same level again. The 46-year-old former UFC champion's body simply couldn't withstand Punk's surgical assault on his most vulnerable areas. Here's a question for the age and recovery experts. At 46 years old with a history of neck issues, could this attack from CM Punk actually force Brock into retirement, or is he physically capable of recovering from this level of trauma? The most infuriating response has come from Paul Heyman, who immediately confronted WWE management demanding that Punk be arrested for assault. This wasn't a wrestling attack, this was attempted murder, Heyman screamed backstage. CM Punk should be in handcuffs, not celebrating in the ring. The legal implications of Punk's attack are genuinely complex. While WWE performers typically waive certain legal protections when they step into the ring, the premeditated nature of this assault and its severity could potentially cross lines that make it actionable even within wrestling's unique legal framework. But the most shocking development is that WWE management has apparently sided with Punk over Brock in this situation. Instead of suspending or disciplining Punk for the attack, they've reportedly already begun promoting his return and scheduling his matches, suggesting they view this controversy as good for business. The corporate calculation reveals WWE's true priorities. They care more about the ratings and buzz generated by CM Punk's shocking return than they do about protecting their established star from attacks that could end his career. The cynicism is absolutely disgusting. The fan reaction to Punk's return and Brock's destruction has been absolutely explosive and deeply divided. Punk's loyal fanbase is celebrating his return and praising the attack on Brock, while Lesnar supporters are expressing outrage at the disrespect shown to a legitimate legend. Here's a question about fan loyalty: do you side with CM Punk's revolutionary destruction of the part-time champion model, or do you support Brock Lesnar as a legitimate legend who deserves better treatment than being attacked on his first night back? The most controversial aspect of this entire situation is that Punk apparently negotiated protection from retaliation as part of his return deal. WWE management has reportedly promised that Brock won't be allowed to attack Punk until their official match, giving Punk weeks to build heat while Brock recovers from his injuries. The one-sided nature of these negotiations shows just how desperate WWE was to bring Punk back. They essentially gave him permission to attack their biggest star without facing immediate consequences, creating a situation where Punk holds all the power and Brock is forced to wait for sanctioned revenge. But perhaps the most intriguing element is what this attack reveals about CM Punk's mental state after years away from WWE. The intensity and violence he displayed suggests that his time away didn't heal old wounds, it allowed resentment and anger to build to dangerous levels. The psychological profile of someone who spends years planning revenge to this degree is genuinely concerning. When someone becomes this fixated on destroying another person, it crosses from competitive intensity into something darker and more obsessive that could have consequences beyond just the storyline. The investigation into Punk's training during his time away reveals he spent significant time working on submission techniques specifically designed to attack the neck and spine. The specialized training shows this attack wasn't spontaneous, he literally spent years preparing to damage Brock in the most effective way possible. Here's a question for the training experts: what kind of psychological mindset does someone need to spend years of their life training specifically to hurt one person, and is that healthy even in the context of professional wrestling? The most shocking theory circulating is that CM Punk's real target isn't just Brock Lesnar, it's the entire system of part-time stars and corporate favorites that Brock represents. Sources suggest Punk has a list of wrestlers he views as embodying everything wrong with modern WWE, and Brock was just the first name to be crossed off. The possibility that this is the beginning of a systematic campaign to attack and destroy multiple established stars adds a revolutionary element to Punk's return. He's not just back to wrestle, he's back to fundamentally reshape WWE's entire power structure through calculated violence. But the most terrifying aspect is that other wrestlers might be inspired by Punk's attack to launch their own campaigns against stars they resent. If attacking legends becomes viewed as a legitimate path to stardom, WWE could descend into chaos where nobody is safe from ambush. The ripple effects of normalizing this level of premeditated violence could fundamentally alter WWE's culture in dangerous ways. When surprise attacks that specifically target career-ending injuries become accepted storytelling tools, the line between entertainment and genuine assault becomes dangerously blurred. The most important question is whether Brock Lesnar will ever physically or psychologically recover from this attack. The physical injuries are severe, but the mental impact of being made to look vulnerable and helpless might be even more devastating to someone whose entire mystique is built on being unstoppable. Here's a philosophical question for the veteran fans: is it better for legends to retire with their mystique intact, or can being defeated and humiliated actually create more compelling storytelling even if it damages their legendary status? The coming weeks will reveal whether CM Punk's return represents the evolution of WWE storytelling or a dangerous precedent that normalizes violence beyond acceptable boundaries. Either way, the night he returned to Raw and paralyzed the Beast Incarnate will be remembered as one of the most shocking and controversial moments in wrestling history. The wrestling world has been fundamentally altered by CM Punk's devastating return, and Brock Lesnar may never be the same. The best in the world has proven he can destroy the Beast Incarnate, and every other part-time star or corporate favorite should be absolutely terrified that they might be next on Punk's revolutionary hit list. CM Punk didn't just return to WWE, he returned as a destroyer who views himself as a revolutionary, cleansing the company of everything he believes has corrupted it. The Beast is paralyzed, the system is shaken, and nobody knows what Punk will do next.